we see Cuba and Venezuela being communist, and people actually saying, yeah, I may not be rich in your terms, but we actually agree with the government. So I'll let this go, but I wanted to point that out.
Okay. Ben Shapiro responded this way.
Tucker's made the point, I'm not going to here to be Tucker's defender, but he's made the point that Maduro is culturally conservative.
Who gives a shit? The guy's a communist dictator. Everyone in his country is eating dog. He's shipping fentanyl to the United States to kill Americans. Why do I give a shit whether he's anti-LGBTQ rights?
Who gives a shit? I do. I'm not moving to Venezuela. I'm not pro-Maduro. But I care about that. Why wouldn't I care about that? I've got kids. Like, first of all, I'm against abortion. Sorry, unpopular. I feel that way. I think it's really sad. I would personally become poorer to end abortion, voluntarily become poorer to end abortion in the United States. That's not a choice. Don't want to become poor, but I would because I care about it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're offended that I do, but I care about it. Lots of people care about it. I don't think pornography is good. That really hurts people. You know, I don't think pretending that the sexes are the same is good. And you claimed that you didn't think it was good, but it turns out, quote, I don't give a shit. Maduro's against Israel.
And there's the rubber meeting the road. A different kind of fake conservative, but a fake conservative nonetheless. He doesn't care about all of the things that are the backbone of culturally conservative people, because if you apply it to Venezuela, it starts to embarrass him, because you realize, oh, Maduro is authentically conservative. Ben Shapiro is not. Maduro is authentically conservative. No usury. No usury. You think that would help some Americans who are drowning in debt? You think it would help? So no usury, no porn, no sex changes for kids. I watched MAGA people, okay? And I have nothing against MAGA. I have nothing against Trump personally. But one of the core tenets of the last election was this argument about, hey, the LGBTQ stuff for little kids, the trans stuff for little kids, like sex changes in school, all that stuff, all that commentary, hearkening it back to Magnus Hirschfeld in the 1920s and 30s in Berlin, where the first sex changes were occurring in the 1920s under Hirschfeld and his sex change operation that he had, and that the Nazis were a reaction to that. Well, culturally, the fascists were a reaction to that, yes. But the fascists and the communists were a reaction to that. Okay? They were a reaction to that. But Ben Shapiro and MAGA, specifically the people of MAGA, voiced their concerns and voted for Trump in an overwhelming manner based on many things, and one of those things was the cultural stuff. So Maduro aligns with Trump on that. Why are we risking a global conflict over Venezuela then? What is the issue? What is the issue? But Ben Shapiro, he won't even discuss. I don't give a shit. He brushes it off because he doesn't want you to know. He doesn't want you to understand. He wants you to hate them blindly. They don't take the right position on Israel for Ben or for Mark Levin, for that matter, and Tucker is connecting it. And then he's going to say something very powerful.
Oh, okay. I don't give a shit. Well, you spent like a decade pretending you did give a shit, that you were on the side of like normal Americans who have a mix of concerns. They definitely care about economics and they care about social issues too because they have children and they see where this is going. It's not good. That your economic condition is not the only measure of health. Your spiritual condition matters too. It's just a fact. It does. If you're totally degraded, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It's not worth it. It's not worth getting the whole world and losing your soul. Sorry. And most people feel the way, but not Ben Shapiro. He doesn't give a shit. So why the hostility? Well, maybe because if you keep talking about the so-called social issues, which are not limited to abortion and pornography and gay marriage, the trans issue.
Subscribe is how you stop it.
Hate YouTube with the ads. Give me old YouTube. Sorry.
They get pretty quickly to economics, to usury, to lending money and interest. And most people, including me, are not against lending money at interest, conceptually. But it depends on what interest rate it's being loaned at. So there are payday loans in this country that are 600% annually. 600% interest annually? And who's taking payday loans in this? Well, poor people are. And they're never getting out of it. They're car loans. They're credit card loans. There's private credit. We used to call it loan sharking. At exorbitant rates. Rates so high that people will never get out from under them. They're enslaved by it. It's called debt slavery. It's 100% real. It's not an ideological point. It's just an obvious observation. And it was one of the observations that Charlie Kirk was making on a daily basis before he was assassinated, which is interesting. And it's that kids are buying.
Is there a connection between the people that are benefiting from usury, money lending, depravity in social culture, and the people that have the foreign policy that favors a war in Ukraine, favors the slaughter of people in Gaza? Is there any connection there? Are you starting to put it together? That's the in the club, folks. That's club politics. Tucker's not in the club. Maduro's not in the club. You're not in the club. I'm not in the club. But the people who have those policies that are all connected, it's all connected, they're in the club. And they need you to hate Venezuela, because if you don't hate Venezuela, if you don't hate Iran, if you don't hate China, what happens? You'll start to hate the club.
Food on credit. Buy now, pay later. That's credit. You're paying interest on that, whether they call it that or not. Late fees. People are loaning you money at a much higher interest rate than, say, rich people are borrowing money. And that's bad because it's really hard to get out of it. And if you're wondering why the average American homebuyer, American-born homebuyer, is almost 40 years old, when the year I graduated from college, it was 28. How did that happen? People are in too much debt. This is probably, if it isolated it in a world with a lot of issues, a lot of pressing issues, debt for young people is probably the number one issue, which is to say, it's the number one thing that is destroying them and making it impossible for them to get married and have children, which Ben Shapiro told us he cared about. And that's the conversation that they absolutely don't want to have. So if you say, well, Maduro, whatever his many faults, probably stole the election. Looks that way to me. I don't know, but it looks that way. People say he's bad. Okay, I believe you. He's bad. But he doesn't have that, and that's a good thing. And Ben Shapiro's like, I don't give a shit. Shut up. He's a communist. It makes you wonder how we're defining communist here.
Here it comes.
Because, of course, in the United States, communist no longer means someone who believes Marx and Engels. It has nothing to do with academic theory. That's all gone. Communist in the United States is a synonym for someone who seeks to rot a society from within and destroy it. And I guess I would argue that if you don't give a shit about pornography or 63 million abortions in the United States since Roe v. Wade or whatever, and if you don't care about 600% annual interest rates on payday loans being given to the poor, who's the communist exactly? Who's trying to rot?
Oh, just let me rewind that, because this is absolutely crucial what he's saying right here.
The election looks that way to me. I don't know, but it looks that way. People say he's bad. Okay, I believe you. He's bad. But he doesn't have that, and that's a good thing. And Ben Shapiro's like, I don't give a shit. Shut up. He's a communist. It makes you wonder how we're defining communist here. Because, of course, in the United States, communist no longer means someone who believes Marx and Engels. It has nothing to do with academic theory. That's all gone. Communist in the United States is a synonym for someone who seeks to rot a society from within and destroy it.
Meaning, just so we understand, what he's saying right here is that communist is used as a term. It's used as a term for someone who wants to rot the country from within. That's how the people that hate communism, that don't understand it, that don't want you to understand it, that's how they use that term in a derogatory manner. Okay? That's what he's pointing out.
And I guess I would argue that if you don't give a shit about pornography or 63 million abortions in the United States since Roe v. Wade or whatever, and if you don't care about 600% annual interest rates on payday loans being given to the poor, who's the communist exactly? Who's trying to rot this country from the inside? Who doesn't care about the destruction of human